Hey, what's up, Creekside? It's Matt here for this episode of Looking Up. And I am excited to jump into a couple passages with you. But I want to start off this episode asking you a few questions and giving you some time, if you need, you could pause the video to kind of reflect on the questions a little bit. But it all revolves around this idea of what do you delight in? What are the things that you enjoy deeply? And maybe another way of saying it is like, what are the things that cause you to kind of stop and take a second just to take in and enjoy? You know, I feel like for my life, I see that sometimes it's sunrises or sunsets or just other aspects of nature and just the beauty and the might that is portrayed in it. And sometimes it's just a good meal. Maybe it's just food that takes a second to just really savor it. Or maybe it's sometimes a conversation or an interaction that was really, really sweet with friends or with a significant other. I feel like there's so many other ways that we can experience this joy, this delight. But what I want us to look at today is a couple references that point to how much God desires for us to delight in Him in this same way. In a similar way where we deeply enjoy His presence, where we deeply delight in Him. And I want to start off in Job chapter 22, verses 23 through 26 says, "If you return to the Almighty, you will be built up. If you remove injustice far from your tents, if you lay gold in the dust and gold of Ophir among the stones of the torrent bed, then the Almighty will be your gold and your precious silver. For then you will delight yourselves in the Almighty and lift up your face to God." I love this picture that when we lay down these earthly treasures, when we lay down these things that we view as valuable in this world, when we lay those down before God, that's the first step for us to truly seeing Him as our most valuable treasure. That's when we start to see, and when we can really start to delight in Him, when we lay these things down. And I love that when we lift up our face to God, then we will delight in Him and we will lift up our face to God. And the other area I want to go is Psalm chapter 16. And in verse 7 down through 11, it says, "I have set the Lord always before me. Because He is at my right hand, I shall not be shaken." So because He is at my right hand, I will not be shaken. David is taking confidence that he is setting the Lord always before him and taking confidence in Him. It says, "Therefore my heart is glad and my whole being rejoices. My flesh also dwells secure." So because he knows that God is with him and he will not be shaken, his whole being can't help but rejoice in that truth, in the reminder of what it looks like to dwell with God. Not just in parts of our days or weeks or months or years, but to set Him before us always, to seek Him always, to have our eyes fixed on Him. "Therefore my heart is glad and my whole being rejoices, everything within Him. For you will not abandon my soul to Sheol, or let your Holy One see corruption. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures furthermore." I think it's interesting that because we don't always associate delight or pleasures or joy with our relationship with God, our pursuit of Him. And yet, so clearly we're seeing that God desires for us to lay all these things that capture our attention, capture our focus, capture our mind, the things of this world that become a distraction. He desires so deeply for us to lay each and every single one of those things down, so that He can be our prized possession, so that He can be our treasure, so that our whole being will delight and find pleasure in His presence. What a sweet, sweet thing. And it all starts back in Job, verse 23 says, "If you return to the Almighty, It starts with returning to him, returning in to dwell in his presence, laying down the things that this world has to offer in order that we might see him as our true fullness of joy, our true delight, and recognizing that we can find pleasure in him. What a sweet, sweet thing. And not only that, but he makes known to us the path to life, the path to ultimate life in its fullest as he created us for. But we can't experience that apart from him. We can't experience that apart from finding delight in him. And so my encouragement today for you is maybe think back on those things that you listed when you think about the things that you delight in this world. And how can you connect that back to your relationship with God? How can you bring him into those moments, into those experiences, and see his love for you and his delight in you through those experiences? And overall, I want to end just by encouraging you to seek his presence. Seek it today. Seek it this week. Seek to experience his love and give recognition to his love for you so that you can delight in it, that you can see the pleasure that comes from being loved by the Almighty, and so that he would become your gold, that he would become the thing that you treasure each and every single day with your whole being. Love you guys, and we'll see you soon.